Today, I wanted to talk about trust. And what I really want to talk about is building trust on a team. This is potentially one of your longest projects. The reason why is because trust takes a long time to build. It takes 1 second, one small act to break it all down and lose it. So please take this very, very seriously, as it is one of the most important things to make a functioning team. If you don't have trust, you will get nothing out of your team. So what I wanted to talk about today are the 3 steps that you can take. And these are daily actions and things that will build the trust in your organization. The first one is very simple. A lot of us don't do it though. And it is do what you say. And what I mean by that is if you require your team to be in at a certain hour, you need to make sure you're in at that hour. If you need them to talk about the vacation time they're going to take a certain amount of time out from when the vacation is actually going to happen, you need to give them the same courtesy. The same with emails. If you have a certain communication style that you would like things to be addressed, you need to address them with that same courtesy. Do as you say is probably the hardest thing, and the thing that as a manager myself and reporting to managers over the years, I saw broken the most often. It's very easy to say, do this, but actually walking the walk is when you build trust with your team. The next one is defend your team publicly, teach your team privately. Now, this again, in the heat of the moment, is sometimes hard to remember, but when you are in front of others, you are their defense. So even if your team did something really horribly bad that cost business or whatever else, when you are talking to your manager, when you are talking to others in the organization, you talk about how you are taking blame for it because, by the way, you're the manager and that's what you do. I used to talk about how I was, pardon my French here, the shit goalie. As the manager, that is exactly what you are supposed to be. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that I am the person that takes the brunt of the pressure from the organization and the pressure from upper management. And by the way, if my team doesn't perform, I take the blame for it. That's the shit goalie. So when something goes wrong in your team, you defend the people on the team and you take the blame. Now, does that mean that you just don't say anything? No, not at all. Quite the contrary. You need to teach your team privately. So if something happened that was wrong, they know it. They probably already feel it. And by addressing how to fix it going forward, not putting emotion in it, but just saying, here's what we're going to do going forward. Great lesson learned here. Moving on. The final one that I want to mention is creating a venting space. This was one of the most productive things that I did as a manager. And it really helped my team function and realize that they would be heard. And that helps build trust. Now, what is a venting space? I was lucky enough to have an office with a door on it. You may not be so lucky. Maybe you want to go for a walk with your employees or something like that, where you're not in a space where others can walk in. Maybe reserve a conference room once a week. I did this with my team in my office in one-on-ones, but I also did it in our group sessions. And we had a group meeting every single week because I felt like that was important to hear what everybody's concerns were. Now, what we did in this meeting and the rules for it were, when this door is closed, you can say whatever you want. You can vent about our clients. You can vent about anyone in this office. You can vent about each other. You can vent about me. You can vent about how unfair things are. But the minute we walk out of this room, all of that stops. And we only talk positives and productive. And what that did was it created an environment where my team felt comfortable sharing things with me because I would do it too. I had a venting session with them as well. But we reached a point where we knew, first of all, we're not sharing any of this outside of the room. And second of all, it's great to get the emotion off your chest because once you get through the emotion, you can actually problem solve through things better. So by creating that safe space for them to feel that they can vent, they would actually share more information. That's what tends to happen when you feel safe and you feel trust. You share more. And the team in general became more productive. If you lack trust with your team, maybe you should do what you say. Maybe you should defend them publicly and teach them privately. And maybe you should create a safe space for them to vent so that you can get through productive issues. Build trust on your team, and everything is possible.